Session. Without any further delay, we now begin with our presentation. A presentation on transforming primary healthcare for the next billion with digital technologies. May I request Chief Strategy and Distribution Officer Buddy, Mr. Ashok Kumar, to kindly join us onto the stage and make the presentation.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here and be part of this journey towards the inclusive growth. While a lot of the conversation today which happened was on the financial side, we also touched upon how to get to social inclusion, right? And here we are a part of that social inclusion, which we have put our steps in the journey towards the social inclusion by way of offering healthcare solutions, right? So that's the topic today I want to quickly broach with you. I know it's an ocean which we can keep on talking forever, but I'll just leave you with some thoughts for today, which we can later discuss. So what essentially is MediBuddy? Just for the sake of 30-second introduction, we are a digital healthcare company, which essentially means we bring our services, which is doctor consultation, labs, medicines, and surgery concierge services across the country, aided by digital technologies. So that's in a nutshell what MediBuddy is all about. So like I mentioned, our services are doctor consultations, labs, which could be your preventive health check or your investigation test or your radiology tests, and then medicines which can be delivered at home or it can be picked up at the nearest store to you, and so on. And also importantly, surgery concierge. This is a new concept which I'll take us 30 seconds to explain what it means. This essentially helps anyone to starting from the day someone has been suggested that they have to undergo a surgery, to take a second opinion or find the right price or find even a right hospital at the right point of time, or do you even need a surgery at all, right? All the way to managing their insurance papers and so on. So it's like an end-to-end buddy service. Imagine you're in a hospital, or anyone who's not familiar with a hospital, it's always very difficult to get a surgery done from end to end, right? Even the caregivers find it difficult. So this concierge service provides that end-to-end support, starting from identifying the right hospital, right price, to all the way getting your claim settled if you're covered by insurance, whether it's national or private insurance, right? So that's what we do. So as a company, we originally started as a direct-to-consumer company, which essentially means we were offering our services to customers directly through our digital technologies, largely through our mobile application. Then we kind of moved on to providing these services to corporates. Today, we provide these services to 4 million employees. The reason is, like any other solutions, right? Like even the financial inclusion, it started with probably the wealthiest and then started moving. In fact, we are now talking about social inclusion and financial inclusion. It doesn't start the other way around, right? So this helped us actually to build a nice foundation of a network of hospitals, doctors, and labs and medicine delivery capabilities, because we are servicing close to almost 1,000 corporates and 4 million employees and their families. So put together, it is 4 into roughly 3, that's around 1.2 crore population of the employee segment which we serve. So that has, like I said, helped us to kind of build the capabilities in terms of delivery of the primary healthcare services. So this, of course, requires a lot of strong relationship with both the payers and the providers. So think MediBuddy as a platform which brings customers or patients on one end, payers on the other end, and the providers on the other end. So all of these three are part of the health ecosystem, right? So it's our job to bring with the technology together in a place where you can seamlessly access the healthcare. Which means, like I mentioned earlier in the surgery conversation, right? If you are going to get a surgery done, you can identify which hospital, which city, which kind of costs you will incur, all the way until whether your insurance company will pay for it, to what extent they will pay, whether you need a financing, and so on. So it's like an end-to-end solution by bringing providers, payers, and also the patients together. So why today? While I talked about corporate and network of hospitals and metros and towns, you may ask this question: why are you here today, right? When you are talking about the top of the pyramid, the reason is our mission. We have set out a mission to make high quality healthcare accessible to 1 billion people. Now, the only way to reach out to billion, and it's a lofty target, I know, but the only way to at least make strides in getting to 1 billion people is work with partners who have already shown us way how you can get there. Especially the microfinance institutions have kind of really developed a model. I was part of the microfinance insurance industry when it evolved in 2008 and so on, right? So I've seen it grown through my eyes, and therefore we said this is a right kind of opportunity for us to partner and provide these services. Imagine a financial services location branch also becoming a health services place for the individual who's seeking loan from that particular MFI, right? So that's the reason why we are here, to kind of explore opportunities to towards this inclusive growth. I know, like I said, all of us would have spoken about it, but I just want to kind of, bring it back to all of us attention as why now? Even today, this is an interesting part, right? 2/3 of all doctors and healthcare services are available to only 1/3 of the country, which means the rest of the 2/3 is still struggling with healthcare accessibility and availability. So I come from I grew up in a place called Ooty, right? I always tell this to my colleagues. I had only 4 doctors when I was growing up. They are in their 90s now. In fact, they continue to be the only 4 doctors available in that town. So, because the rest move out. So, while there are enough doctors who come out from that place, they don't necessarily stay. Now, that is where the real problem solving for us started, with saying that, hey, how do we improve availability and accessibility? Because this story of doctor availability, which is the flywheel of an healthcare start, is not going to be solved overnight, right? And just as a statistic, only 28,000 doctors out of the 1.25 million doctors are actually working in PHCs, right? And I don't know how many of them are also readily available, but that is the scanty number. How do we work with this scanty number? How do we make this healthcare available is the first problem, which is availability. The second problem is, and this is articulated by the government itself, the Indian Public Health Standards itself quotes that only roughly 3.5% of the 1.55 lakh sub-PHCs are up to its standards, which means it's not just availability, it's also the quality which is a problem. The third comes is the differential need. We all know this, right? As the socioeconomic class changes, the healthcare needs are also different. So, for example, a person in Delhi versus somewhere in Rewari or in Rajasthan in a Tonk, the healthcare needs will be different. I know this map I would have explained in some other forum, but for the paucity of time, what it's essentially saying is the same population, same age, but being in a different socioeconomic class and in a different geography has a different needs, which means availability is a challenge, quality is a challenge, and access to the differential needs is also a challenge today. And this is again statistics from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, right? This is on the one side you see the physicians which are available in CHC for rural areas, and the other one I picked up this specifically for women folks because of obstetric. I mean, a lot of self-help groups have women folks. Availability of gynecologists, right? You can see in one column the number which is required, and the last column which will tell you the number which is today available. Despite the government sanctioning, almost 80% of the number required has been sanctioned by the government, but it is not filled. It will not be filled because one, availability is a challenge. Two, these doctors going and working in these rural areas is also a challenge. So this problem is not going to be solved until we have evolved the secondary healthcare layer mechanisms, right? Today everything starts and ends with the doctor when it comes to healthcare. While the government has published a nice vision document in terms of how to improve this healthcare by introduction of secondary care healthcare providers, it is going to be a bit more longer journey than all of us anticipate. In the meantime, what we do for this health inclusion is what we were trying to solve. And that's where Medimedi comes in to solve, attempting to solve the problem rather. I already talked to you about the services which we offer. I'll just move on to show how we have been providing network, right? Like I said, in our platform, we have kind of the providers, we have patients, and we have also the payers who come in right on our platform. What we have tried to do is how to mirror the active borrowers district wise and build the network for this. Today we have close to 9,000 tele-doctors, and just by way of example, today on our platform, a doctor speaking in Marwari language, and this is a real life case study, right? For a microfinance institution in Rajasthan, a gynecologist speaking in Marwari language is available for a women folk who is in Rajasthan somewhere who wants to talk in her language and explain her problem in her language. So it's not just about availability, quality, it's also about the languages, right? So that's what we have been solving. I want to make it very clear because often we think that digital healthcare company means, oh, this is more a tier 1, tier 2 kind of a company or a metro company. We are a tech-enabled company, which means at the back end, we use a lot of technology to bring the healthcare to the rural folks. So as a health tech company, we are very focused on building this back end, which will help us in delivering the services. So what's the impact? I will very quickly share at the grassroots level, early detection and new diagnosis, right? This is one of the camps which we did. Today we do almost close to 1,000 camps in a month in rural areas where there are not even a single diagnostic center in a circumference of 75 kilometers, right? So that's the kind of impact which we have started building. So this is how it looks and feels on the ground. We do run a lot of mobile camps, like I mentioned, close to almost 1,000 mobile camps, and a lot of this is run through microfinance institution partners. And sometimes it's in their branches. Here is one of those microfinance partners who actually runs it in its branches. That's the kind of translated version of appreciation from all the people starting from Northeast. And that's another important point I want to mention, right? We started this company when there was not a lot of UPI payment or digital or credit card payment. So there was a provision we used to charge the prepaid card of the customer for the doctor consultation. So we understand that one thing we understood is even rural population is willing to pay for healthcare. It's just the accessibility and availability is the biggest challenge which we need to solve for. This is an important point, and I think the government has also kind of come up with the Data Protection Act. We are fully compliant to make sure that the data is secure, because that's one of the fear when someone uses digital technologies, how secure is the data, and this is a very specific health data of an individual. This data is completely secure, and that's also one of the reasons why we started working with insurance companies, because they are regulated, and the regulators have a very stringent requirement in terms of where the data can be stored and how it can be accessed and so on. Yeah, that's one of our patent giving us the compliments. You can reach out to us in this phone number or in the booth number 6 for more discussion. Like I said, this is a very long and large topic, but I think I've done justice by giving you a few tidbits for our conversation further. Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure being here, and I look forward to social inclusion, including health. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful presentation. May I request Mr. Gigi Mamin to kindly present a memento to Mr. Ashok Kumar for his wonderful presentation. Please put your hands together as we thank Mr. Ashok Kumar. Presenting a stool and a plaque. Thank you so much, Mr. Ashok Kumar. Thank you so much, Mr. Gigi Mamin, for doing the honors. May we quickly take this moment and invite Mr. Gigi Mamin to make an announcement.
Yeah, good afternoon to all of you. I just wanted to make a small announcement. In fact, we were planning to do a book launch here, which we couldn't do because of the books didn't arrive on time. Just want to introduce that book to you, and then that's all. There is a book which is called From a Car Shed to a Corner Room and Beyond. This is written by S. Raman, who was the CMD of Canara Bank during the period from 2011 to 2010 to 12. So this is a book of ex-CMD Canara Bank, Mr. S. Raman. He has written, the title is From a Car Shed to Corner Room and Beyond. That means he started his life literally living in a car shed. Their family was living in a car shed when he was a small boy. Subsequently, he grew up and he became a bank employee, and from a clerical cadre, he grew up to a CMD level. So the story is about various anecdotes and instances he had encountered during his banking days. This is available in Amazon. If somebody is interested, you can buy it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to the plenary session 4. And plenary session 4 would be on the transforming micro borrowers to micro entrepreneurs, the synergy of government and financial institution. Please put your hands together as I welcome the moderator of the session. May I invite on stage the moderator of the session, the Development Finance Specialist, the World Bank Group, Mr. Amit Arora. Very warm welcome to you, sir. May I also request our esteemed speakers of the session to kindly join us on stage. I welcome Managing Director and CEO ONDC, Mr. T Koshy. Very warm welcome to you, sir. We also invite on stage General Manager Agriculture, State Bank of India, Mr. Sanjay V.S. Very warm welcome to you, sir. We also invite on stage CGM, NABARD, Ms. L Leivang. Very warm welcome to you, ma'am. May I also invite on stage CGM SIDBI, Dr. S Acharya. Very warm welcome to you. We're also being joined as an esteemed speaker of the session, ED and CEO, SKDRDP, Dr. L Manjunath. Very warm welcome to you, sir. Before I request the moderator of the session to take over, may I say a few words about the moderator. Mr. Amit? Mr. Amit is a commercial banker turned development finance specialist working with World Bank Group since 2016. We're also being joined as a speaker of the session, Mr. Anjani Singh, who is a Senior Program Officer from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Very warm welcome to you, sir. Sorry for that miss. We would have anyways made that announcement. I'm going back to the introduction about our moderator of the session. Mr. Amit is a commercial banker turned development finance specialist working with World Bank since 2016. Presently, Mr. Amit is part of several projects at World Bank Group, including IFC, with focus on digital financial inclusion, agri-finance, and enterprise financing for new to credit segment, wherein women centricity is a common thread. With those words, may I request the moderator of the session to kindly take forward.
Thank you. First session after lunch, and perhaps the last plenary also, not going to be easy. I hope we are able to keep up the tempo, and this is interesting for you all. We have a very good panel, all leaders in their respective domain. Makes my task little more difficult, but I'll try and do justice to that. The topic that we've given is transforming micro borrowers to micro entrepreneurs, and the play of synergy between government and financial institutions. It's never easy, but one tends to get along. That's a necessity. And we have combination of DFIs, the prime lenders, state bank here, facilitating agencies. So we'll get a spectrum of perspective, I'm sure. Microfinance, this audience doesn't need introduction. You know, for many years we've also been grappling with the challenge of how to graduate, you know, whether it is SAG or JLG, and a lot of attempts have also happened, both government side and non-government side, and there has been some progress also. However, you know, we've still not been able to develop a template, just like SAG or JLG, which can be standardized and there is scalability available There are ongoing efforts which we'll hear from stakeholders here. This may be the right time where, you know, pooling of minds can happen and efforts can happen, which will lead us to see this scaling up in near future. To deliberate this, I'll try and ask questions to the fellow panelists, which is useful for the audience also. And to start with, banker to every Indian and banker to government. We'll start with you, sir. Well, we don't have to discuss what State Bank does for micro entrepreneurs or borrowers. You name the segment, you'll probably have 20% of the market share. Randomly pick up any product. So while that is known that, of course, be it Mudra or a broader MSME, you know, State Bank is a very active player and goes without saying. I'll request you to shed some light on the specific graduation part. How do these group borrowers become entrepreneurs and able to avail financing for their enterprises? You know, that is something while stakeholders have been doing, lenders have been doing. Where do we stand today given the challenges and how State Bank is trying to address this problem?
Good afternoon to you all. Actually, I am a reserve player who had come as a substitute. My main captain, Chief General Manager, Mr. Shantanu, Pendsey, would have been able to shed more lights because he is having vast experience than me. Still, I will try to do justice because I have also served almost 25 years in this bank, in different verticals. But in this vertical, I have joined just 3 months back only. But the amount of learning I have been able to get during these 3 months about the complexity of this subject, and from outside, when we work from in a bank itself, when we work from outside, we see everything is easy. But when we come here as a banker and when we talk to the customers and when we experience the journey, it is happening. It's more complex. As already told, now the system, the ecosystem has developed much better compared to the previous, compared to around 20 years back. Starting from the SHG movement, now if you see wherever the literacy rate is high, the women are moving from the micro borrowers to micro entrepreneur, and now the way banks are also approaching the concept is also changing. The thought process, the micro borrowers have to migrate to micro entrepreneurs. The micro entrepreneurs are the future customers, future big corporate customers of our bank. So earlier, the concept of priority sector was treated as a something which has to be achieved because of the rule. That was the concept. Now we understand the margin, the highest margin which is available is in the priority sector, and the default rates also has come down drastically. And if you understand, if you see if we analyze our portfolio in SHG, the NPA levels are the best compared as per the, which is even better than the retail segment. So we are all giving very a lot of importance to SHG, but the women, they already attained financial literacy through this movement, and then next progress for them is to move to the micro entrepreneurship. So as the moderator already told, micro entrepreneurship is a broad term. Each person will be having a different type of activity, which sometimes the bank officials may feel it is up to the discretion of the branch manager whether it is viable or not viable to classify it as a viable or not. If you see many of the applications getting rejected from banks are maybe because of this reason. But sometimes it may be correct. Sometimes I don't think whatever banks are saying is also correct, because the NPA levels were very high. Now the ecosystem has developed so high. The digital public infrastructure also has grown, and the awareness about the CIBIL and the importance of formal credit has grown big because of the financial literacy. So we are very bullish on this, and the thought process among the branch managers as well as the field staff is also evolved now, and this is one of the foremost focus points for us. And similarly, I have to compliment the other players, especially the MFI and the NBFCs who have been very active there. And now we are venturing into the partnership through them, so that we will be able to do more, so that we will be able to reach more people. And the way banks are working, we are more focused on digitizing all these products, which will be a great enabler, and which will give us the scale, and the operational cost also will be coming down, so that the profitability of this product will be more, and I'm sure we will be expecting a big turnaround, a big increase in this portfolio, and we will be surely with the micro borrowers in migrating to micro entrepreneurs. We have got a lot of specialized products are also on the anvil. I will explain about those products in the next round. And already a lot of preliminary discussions, preliminary study classes, everything has happened. We will be, all the infrastructure is already ready. Once the digital infrastructure is onboarded probably within a month, testing is already going on, then we will be seeing a very different uptake. It will be, I'm sure it will be, exponential growth will be there in this segment. Thank you.
I had a particular sequence in mind, but you mentioned about digital public infrastructure. So I think I'll turn to Mr. Koshy. Talk of DPI, and gentleman on my left seems to be having a magic wand waiting to be waved, which will solve problems related to marketing. So Koshy, can you demystify this a bit for us? So there are two aspects, apart from the product side, whether it is buyer or seller app. One is marketing, second is facilitating financing. Now, what this digital public infrastructure can do on both sides to help these micro entrepreneurs expand their market?
Thank you. Let me give you a quick overview of the possibilities from this open network. As you would have heard, many of you are aware that ONDC's Open Network for Digital Commerce is an attempt to democratize commerce. It means that every seller will have equal opportunity to be visible to all the buyers, and based on how good the product or how good the service is, he may succeed. I'm not going in detail to explain that. I'll contextualize for what we are talking today. As you said very correctly, that the first thing for any enterprise to grow is about market access. So today, ONDC enables a small product manufacturer or a small service provider or an artisan to be visible in the open network as much as any privileged enterprises are. We have already demonstrated that with having many FPOs and small time weavers are all doing few lakhs of worth of transactions on a regular basis. So only if they can, otherwise today for them to get market access, even if you use today's platforms available, is very, very expensive. And very often he will not get the necessary visibility, because he is too small and because he can't afford that. And that's why market access has become one of the first component. And the beauty is there is diverse set of enterprises who is coming to help the buyers to buy these kind of different products. There are startups who come and say, in fact, one of the startup on a buying side come and said, I'm going to curate a friend into say Amazing India. His idea was to get a lot of small enterprises to make their product visible. He doesn't have to go and tie up with everybody because they're already been brought in either with the help of SIDBI or with the help of NABARD or with the help of small and medium enterprises or by philanthropic institutions and so on and so forth. And that's a journey that is going. And so that is the first diamond, enhancing market access. Second thing, especially coming into our line in the finance side, So when you enhance market access through the digital medium, you are creating a digital history of their business transaction, their demand. And that certainly gives an opportunity for many financial institutions to extend credit based on the flow than based on the asset that is there. Most of the small enterprises feel the challenge of not having sufficient asset as a collateral to raise finance, and they end up going to some of these money lenders at very, very usurious rates. Whereas now he has something that he can proudly take, show that. So that's a second way in which the open network can make it happen. And there are very many enterprises at the different stages of coming into as a service provider here. The third is, like I said, open network is not just about product. Open just product is about any product or any service that is catalogable. So which means that this open network will not limit itself to selling consumer good or selling food, or it could be also B2B, all of them there. Plus it's also make financial products. 2 months ago, almost a month ago, we announced a specification for the financial products. We started with my credit, my microcredit, then insurance and mutual fund are all being announced. In the next few months, you would see different enterprises coming with specialized product in this network itself, so the people are able to get market access. Same network is giving, the financial products too. For example, we have been working with the insurance industry to create, specialized products, sachetized product. Because if you look at when you have more and more micro enterprises come online and then they try to sell across, one of the challenges that they will face is that there is the risk of some loss, something or the other. I'm not talking about somebody trying to do anything illegal or not correct or wrong product, because there could be some accidents do happen, something lost in logistics. At the end of the consumer who paid for it need to get it, or he has to get his money back. And for a micro enterprises, even a 1% chance or a 0.5% chance or a one product thing, it's a critical thing. So if there is a mechanism by which you can offer him a sachetized insurance, suddenly he is able to find a solution for that. He feels more confident, the customer, buyer and the seller. In the similar fashion, it is also providing micro, we have been working with the SEBI, etc., to see whether we can have micro investment plan. Because entrepreneur need all this dimension. So this is the second dimension which is helping. Third is, again, when you're enhancing the market access, it is not just about his product being visible. It's also about a lot of complementary services. It could be logistics, it could be warehousing, it could be packaging, it could be advertising. All of them are services. And for a small enterprises, going and building relationship and having contracting may not be easy. For example, let's say a small entrepreneurs are coming from Kanchipuram trying to sell to Bangalore, and he may not be able, normally when he try to go and talk to an established logistics player, he may not even welcome him because he's so small. Now he's able to buy it online because those services are also online. So it is the possibility and open network is multiple. Enhance access, give complementary service easily available at affordable rate, help him to raise finance based on this digital transaction, and also look for financial products, that's it. So the area is wide ranging. It's not that all of them are already there, but many of them are there and many of them are in the pipeline to be launched in the next few months.
Good to hear that. Hopefully good times round the corner, and as things scale up, we'll understand this more. On your left, we have two largest DFIs of the country. Actually, this is a lot of overweight on the left side. We should have each one of you on the either side, but nevertheless, ma'am, NABARD doesn't need an introduction as far as SHG Bank Linkage Program is concerned. Everybody in the room knows about it. But having set up such a large network, and as the topic mentions, all of these borrowers, group borrowers, large percentage of these borrowers would be entrepreneurs also, household level entrepreneurs, individual women entrepreneurs. There is a lot of support that these nano enterprises, informal sector require. A lot of facilitation, capacity building, hand holding. How do we as a developmental institution address that element? Financing is understood and taken care of by and large, but the softer elements needs continuous support and hand holding. So what's NABARD take on that, and how do we go about it?
Yeah, thanks Amit, and good afternoon everyone. So NABARD as the SAG and the JLG ecosystem facilitator and the enabler has been putting in place a number of interventions for deepening, widening and strengthening the SAG and JLG ecosystem. And in fact, we have been very organically, going forward in our support systems that we are putting in place. Same is the case for the interventions that we have for livelihood activities. I would like to mention especially the livelihood activities. Now, as we all know, NABARD, whatever it does, it is only done in an indicative and demonstrative manner so that other stakeholders will be able to replicate it. That said, NABARD has been having the products and the processes for encouraging and hand-holding our SAGs and JLGs onto the livelihood platform. So as products, I would say, the early 90s and the early 2000s, I would say, where the SAG women were mainly taking loans for their meeting their consumption needs and then their social obligations and so on. Very slowly, the SAG members started showing an interest in taking up IGAs. And that is when NABARD came up with the micro enterprise promotion support scheme. And then we had this essentially was a very short duration support scheme. And then we came up with a much more comprehensive training support scheme. We have given, a CFC component, we have the exposure visit component, and very organically, many components have been added to. Absolutely, NGOs. Yeah, with the partner NGOs. And of course, we have recently announced one more new hand-holding scheme, again with our partner NGOs, the M-Suvidha scheme. So this is different from the other schemes in the sense that we will have to partner with, established sector players. And simultaneously, different skills training can be run so that bankers have better comfort so that they can have, credit linkage either with banks or with MFIs. Now, those are the some of the products that we have been putting in place along with our channel partners. Now coming to processes, from the start of the SAG and the JLG movement, we have, very massively conducting the capacity building, the sensitization, the orientation, especially of the branch managers across states, across banks, across institutions, to build the space for, for opening up the opportunities for credit linkage of deserving SAGs and JLGs. Okay, so I think that is what.
Thanks. Coming to you, Acharya ji, missing middle. No, this is a problem statement which SIDBI has been trying to address for many years. I remember many years back when I was at GIZ, we had a joint program where through NBFC, MFI partners, we tried to structure something together, and we still trying to address this. We heard your chairman talking about prayas. Now, if you could just elaborate on that, is SIDBI trying to be a commercial lender like mainstream commercial banks in this segment, or it is a catalytic approach which could probably get replicated by other institutions? How do you see this going beyond a certain level?
Okay, thank you Amit, and very good afternoon all of you. See, what you spoke is Prayas is a supply side intervention, but very briefly I will say the demand side also. See, what happens is why we are all talking about this transformation or graduation from microcredit borrowers to become micro entrepreneurs or micro enterprise borrowers. See, there are two very things. Second thing, the chairman NABARD also mentioned yesterday. The first thing is all of us believe that the country is going to grow at least at 6%, right? So if it is growing at 6% for next 5 years, compound growth will be around 42% in 5 years. And as per a recent study, it says that, out of the 42% or any growth that happens, 2/3 is by the urban middle class or higher middle class or people who are above that. So what happens is when we are growing at 42% over next 5 years, and if this is going to be the pattern of growth, then the divide, the gulf is going to only widen. So what we have to do is we have to see that value creation happens, only that then this gulf can be abridged. How do you do that? One important thing that I was coming, that I was coming from Chairman NABARD yesterday, that he was talking about how do we drive back people from agriculture to other activities. You see, what is the contribution of agriculture to the total national GDP is 19-20% at the max. But the number of people who are employed in agriculture is about 50%. So there is a disguised unemployment that exists, and that is something that is not very good for when you see this divide that comes. This is one of the reasons. So you read these two things along, then value creation is something that we must focus on. And value creation can only come from the enterprises. And how do you do that? See, today, when you are talking about the bottom of the pyramid, people who are thriving on the microcredit from the MFIs or through any other route, SHG bank linkage program, etc. Thing is that, yes, that is at a sustenance level, it is okay. But if we want them to create value, then we have to take them to the next level. Then financial literacy everybody talks about, but they need business literacy, like they need to know the nuances of business. Unless we empower them with the nuances of business, say for example, small amount of bookkeeping, accountancy, how do they do the good packaging, how to market the products, basic things of business literacy, if it is not given to them, they are not going to absorb credit. There is supply side, there are many suppliers of credit, but how are they going to absorb credit? So on the demand side, we are working. There are several programs, like say for example, we also work with partners. MFIs are our biggest partners, and for this micro enterprise loan also, we are working with MFI associations, the small finance banks, etc., and the We Lead program that we are now spearheading in various states, in Odisha, in West Bengal, in Kerala, and yesterday we gave out 2 sanction letters through Sa-Dhan. We are trying to reach out in Tamil Nadu and Gujarat. So that is one model. Then the second model is we are also trying to set up, what we are calling that Swavalamban Connect Kendras. We are calling them micro business incubation centers at the district level. So you need to give them the necessary guidance at the district level where the action is. Not necessarily at the state headquarters, but at the district level, you need to give them the mentoring, the hand-holding, the support they need, so that, their capacity is built, they know how to do business. So this then of course, NSDC and some, the people like, other such organizations, we are working very closely with them, how to, bring out the enterprise out of the skilled manpower that exists, right? So these are a variety of approaches that we are working on, that how do we create an enterprising nation. So what we were asking is the supply side of credit, that is the prayas. Yes, that is something missing middle up to 50,000, average 50,000 is met by the microfinance institutions or through the JLG-SHG model. But people who want to graduate out of that, say up to 5 lakh rupees, 50,000 to 5 lakh rupees is something that is called the missing middle, where possibly there is a scarcity of credit availability. There we are working with the MFIs and other such institutions and creating designated products so that they are in a position to lend them effectively, completely digitally over the app. In fact, we are using the entire strength of the India stack, the public digital infrastructure, even the documentation with help of NESL, National E-Governance Services, is done online, and the delivery is made to the ultimate borrower. So that is the prior side of it. Thank you.
So, like to understand this little better, and I think I'm told we have one of SIDBI's partner which is delivering through the Prayas model, right, Manjunath? So before I come to Prayas part, and you can expand on that, Manjunath, you're an exceptional BC in the country. Now, on one side we have payments BC predominantly, and then there are specialized BCs who focus on delivering credit, group credit. What I understand, you seem to be doing across the spectrum. Your insurance numbers are large, You've delivered SHG credit, I don't know how many thousand, through the BC channel. And now you are partnering in Prayas. So how, and I'm mindful of the fact that father of BC regulation is sitting here. Khan Saab scripted this. So, but we don't see many such players. So how is it that you're able to do at a very efficient pricing level, large scale credit delivery and value added services through the channel which others are not able to do? Two parts, Manjunath ji. The micro enterprise credit delivery, the group based is fairly templatized. The complexity is in the enterprise, where there is a lot of variation. How you doing this delivery? And second is, what does it take for the channel to expand and more banks to deliver through the channel?
Thank you, Amit, for broadening the horizon of this discussion. Thank you very much for that. Actually, I was thinking of restricting myself to from micro borrower to micro enterprise.
And we'll come back.
No. Anyway, well, to start off, actually, this session's title is titled as Micro Borrower to Micro Enterprise. Actually, it should have been Livelihood to Micro Enterprise, because not all borrowings are for livelihood. Because most of the borrowings that the poor people make are for their consumption needs, emergency needs, infrastructure needs, and very little, if left over, for livelihoods. But the government has been bent on creating livelihoods, and therefore people misuse. They take for livelihood and use it for other purposes. And therefore, the SHG movement that came to India in the 1990s gave a very good alternative to the poor people to choose for which they should use the money, whether it is for consumption or whether it is for creating a livelihood, was a choice left to the people. And that is where SKDRDP has come in and understood the needs of the people. Now, out of the 100 in a community, 100 people in a community, more than 60 people want money not for enterprise, not for livelihood, because they already have some kind of a livelihood. They are working as laborers, whatever, small activity. They don't want money for enterprise or for livelihood. They want money for actual consumption need and their infrastructure need. So SKDRDP, having understood that, we have discussed with the bank and we have convinced the bank that we should be lending to the SHG and leave the credit decision to the poor people. To an extent, say 3 to 5 lakhs, you have given to the group and they can take a decision. Beyond that, then the group has to submit a credit plan. That is where the enterprise part comes, and that is where the livelihood part comes. So SKDRDP, since we had that clarity that poor people require money for their daily course rather than for livelihood, we were easily able to scale up our operations, and therefore we have been able to provide a model. When one is satisfied with his credit need for his consumption purposes, then he will think of livelihood, because he has to repay the loan also, and then he will talk of a micro enterprise. And that is where the NABARD came in with SHG 1 and SHG 2. 2.0 talked about micro enterprises. That was, I think, that started around 2008, 2009, and NABARD spoke of 2.0, SHG 2.0. And that is when they wanted to migrate these micro borrowers into micro enterprises. And that is where SKDRDP, having kept contact with the community all the while, we have been trying to work with them all the while, creating that interest in them, and then asking them to set a goal, and then try to achieve that goal. That is how we have been able to convert an ordinary man into a micro entrepreneur. See, this is the process side of it. You talked about a supply side and a demand side. This is the process side which SKDRDP has excelled in. And therefore, we have been able to actually convince people to take up more and more difficult enterprises, and for which the backward linkage as in training, we have provided through RCTs and through our own institutions and through our own workers and through using line departments. So we have been able to do that, and more and more people have taken up micro enterprises. And of course, institutions like SIDBI have come along, and the latest Prayas scheme, we are, I think, the biggest user of the Prayas scheme, having helped 36,000 people. And the ticket size in these 36,000 people, I'm very happy to tell you, is 4.2 lakh. The current disbursement.
And these are all SHG members who've taken SHG credit.
Those who have migrated from ordinary SHG membership into micro enterprise. Although banks themselves are giving loan in case of our SHGs up to 3 lakh. But those who require more than 3 lakh have now gone to this SIDBI Praya scheme, and the average ticket size is 4.2 lakh. So 36,000 beneficiaries in the last 2 years have availed 1,300 crores under Prayas, and they have maintained their relationship with SHG for their consumption needs. But for their enterprise needs, they have come and gone to SIDBI and taken a direct loan from SIDBI, of which we are the negotiator and implementing agency. So this is one part. Now the second part of the question that you raised, sir, as to why is this not going forward. I think there is a very good scope for replicating the SHG BC model. Very good scope, because you see, first thing is, if you become a BC, you don't require a capital requirement to, when you start credit sourcing and credit lending, you will not require the capital, because you are an agency of the bank. So as a BC, you can easily work as an agent to do this work. So however, most of the banks do not touch small time NBFCs, small time NGOs, and that is where the problem comes. So if the banks are a little more cooperative in this.
You have a 15,000 crore portfolio.
No, I have a 22,000 crore portfolio. My current portfolio is 22,000 crore. And I have a borrower base of, who have currently borrowed from me, 38 lakh borrowers. And I mean, that's so what we have done in the last 2 years, when the COVID started, we set up an international incubation center where we thought we can attract similar-minded institutions, because most of us have started out as an NGO, as an institution to help the people, and most of us now have transformed into NBFCs because there was no way out for us. So here is this movement of Sir Khan Sahab has done is providing a way out for us. So with remaining as an NGO, we can now become an agent of the bank to transfer this fund. So we started an incubation center, and I'm very happy today, as I'm speaking to you, sir, about 10 of my partners from across the country are now working with us to take the process of SKDRDP into their geographies to replicate this model and take the bank money for micro enterprise creation. And I request that from this forum to the banks to be more considerate to these people, so that, take them as a member. Take them as friends of SKDRDP and help them as we do, because we are transferring a lot of our systems and processes to them. We are giving them the hardware support, the software support, the HR support, the process support, the manual support, entire thing. We are giving them on a platter to my friend institutions. And if only banks can appreciate this and then come forward, I think we are going to create a new ecosystem where SHGs will have a new life. I think now banks are not talking about SHGs, but I think there is a big scope for all of us to work more and more in this sector, along with the NBFCs and the mainstream banks.
Right. So we'll probably request Khan Sahab to come up with 2.0 of BC circular also. Anjali, moving to you, I consciously kept you for the last in the first round because just like Sanjay ji, you're also a replacement for none other than Government of India in this panel. So one heavyweight is replacing another one. You have been with NRLM for very long and continue to work with NRLM as part of BMGF, Gates Foundation. This is a large partnership that you have with MORD. So you've seen this journey where how government is setting up an ecosystem of facilitation at the bottom of the pyramid and creating a model of engagement with the sectoral players. So that platform, the SHG platform, is fairly vibrant. With challenges will of course always be there, and there are new challenges always coming. But lenders are playing their role. Very often we tend to overstep and nudge and push from various sides lenders to do more than their core business. But these are activities which other stakeholders have to play. So if you could share how NRLM is playing a more enabling role in creating that ecosystem, and as an addition to that, how you as BMGF are supporting that, more as a forward looking for having a vibrant micro enterprise ecosystem. Graduation. Over to you.
No, thank you, Amit, and thank you to Sa-Dhan team for inviting, for this wonderful conference. Let me clarify, no way, I can replace, or the foundation can replace the government of India. So I wouldn't be, like to be in that place, and neither they are replaceable by any nobody can replace that, yes. Now coming to, your questions on the whole ecosystem. I think as a foundation, we have decided in India to work very closely with the government program and large government program. We work with, almost like 8 to 10 ministries at the national level, as well as, some of those priority estates. And I personally work, as Amit mentioned, very closely with the Department of Rural Development, and especially the day NRLM programs and all, and in the past have been part and parcel of this whole journey. When it comes to this, the journey of microfinance to micro-entrepreneur, I feel there are a lot of, and to your question, Amit, the graduation, I see there is a lot of graduation happening in the ecosystem. I think just now Manjunath Saabji, talked about how the, MFI graduated from NGOs to NBFCs, and there are some of those MFI graduated as a commercial bank. One of the partner organizations of Sa-Dhan, the Bandhan is the live example of that. The same way, the aspirations of these SAG members and poor people in general has also kept on growing. So that ecosystem is also changing. I also would connect you, before this session started, Memon Sahab launched the book, the whole graduation story of the working from a car set to a corner office. So the life is all about graduation, so how the SAG members are also facilitated to graduate to the next level of either whether it's setting up enterprises or setting up businesses, getting into other kind of, activities, livelihood activities. And in that process, I know, and I always use that phrase, while there is a small is beautiful, but, the big is necessary. And unless until they start growing big, I don't know how long that micro can sustain over a period of time. So it's important that they continue to grow and we help them in process. When this growth comes, there are multiple things where they need to grow. One is, the whole, I think other panel have already talked about in terms of a small finance, microfinance to large, ticket finance and all. And it was very heartening to hear the story from Manjunath Saab that how, almost like a 36,000 SAG members have taken a loan of 4.2 lakh of average loan, which is unheard of, and they have set up a large businesses and all. So one is the whole ticket size. The other is also, while both microfinance institution as well as program like NRLM or SAG Bank linkage program have been largely working on this group-based lending. And now, and that's the dilemma I have, should this group-based lending continue, or some of these individual SAG members should, graduate from group-based lending to an individual borrower of, either microfinance institutions or banking institutions. I was just last week, I was in the, in Bihar, I was interacting with some of those bankers there, and I asked, to the banking fraternity that, Government of India has also increased the whole limit of the SAG bank linkage to up to 20 lakh, though I again heard from the SKDRDP team is that, they have gone up to 25 lakh rupees. But the average lending under the SAG bank linkage program, still is not more than probably, if I'm not mistaken, 2 lakh, 2.5 lakh rupees and all. That's the average lending happening at this moment. Now, the members who wants to have a bigger ticket size loan, they have two choices. One is, and again, we'll have to find that solution. Should we increase the, the SAG bank linkage program from 2 or 3 lakh rupees which gets distributed among 8 to 10 members to 20 lakh rupees, so that, you know, they get around 2 to 3 lakh rupees, every member get to 2 to 3 lakh rupees, or they graduate from the group-based lending and come out and get the you know, individual lending, you know, for their enterprises and all. And I don't have any clear answers, but I think, you know, the House is, you know, much more expert than.
You know anyone who has the answer?
So that's why I'm raising this question, and if someone has, you know, any specific response, I'll happy to hear that. I think the third is also this whole graduation should move from this informal to formal, and unless until this, you know, the lending size increases, I think it will be very difficult to move from, you know, the informal to formal. But coming back to, you know, your question, Amit, I think there is a lot which is, you know, happening in the ecosystem, and I think this House is largely about lending and the finance part of it. But when it comes to the micro enterprise, again, finance is not just, I mean, it's a necessary condition, but probably not a sufficient condition to set up the enterprises. Lot of non-micro, you know, non-financial support has to go, you know, and I'm so happy that, you know, Koshy Sahab is here from ONDC, which, we know, we are hoping that it will disrupt the whole, you know, the e-commerce ecosystem, and poor people will also able to benefit these, you know, fast growing e-commerce, and they'll have access to market and all. They also need lot of logistic support, marketing support, design support, and all those things. So how do we ensure that the non-financial support is also provided side by side the financial support that, you know, this House is well placed to provide and all. And that's where the organization and the project like, you know, and the mission like National Rural Livelihood Mission comes very handy. That they are not just focusing upon the financial part, but they are also supporting the poor people on the non-finance side. And some of those examples, if I give, and Amit knows again very well, for example, they have a program like SBEP, a Startup Village Enterprise Fund, where, you know, there is a micro-entrepreneur mentors has been deployed in every Gram Panchayat who supports these, you know, micro-enterprises in various non-financial services and all, whether it's like a recording, whether it's a design, whether it's a business planning, and all those things. The same way, which again, you know, Amit is very much part of it, the NRLM has also a supportive funding from the World Bank, and as part of the, which is called National Rural Economic Transformation Project, as part of that project, they are also setting up the one-stop facility center, you know, at the district level and the cluster level federations to help these entrepreneurs, you know, in non-financial services and all. So I would certainly see, see that a ecosystem is emerging, and then, you know, and in addition to, again, coming back to our foundation, I think we work very closely, you know, with the Ministry of Rural Development on one side, but we have a, you know, other partner ecosystem, and very recently we have also partnered with Sa-Dhan to work on that space. But also we have other organizations like Development Alternatives and several other organizations which have been working in that enterprise ecosystem, which would probably, you know, would again be very handy to all these financial institutions, because they would do a lot of work at the back end to make the entrepreneur, you know, the finance ready. So that you as a financial institution do not have to do every, you know, the legwork and prepare the, you know, the entrepreneurs for becoming the, you know, they're ready for, you know, absorbing the finance and all. So it will be good to, you know, work together in this, you know, ecosystem where government, microfinance institutions, bank, and foundation like us could come together and, you know, and work in helping these poor people to graduate to the next level. Thank you.
Next year, maybe Mr. Memin, we'll hear from you how you've been able to broad base the pipe and bring more lenders and market players. So on that note, I'll come back to State Bank of India, Sanjit. About last 1 year or so, through our partnership with NRLM, we're trying to do this graduation piece. My personal experience has been, unlike the group model, we don't have a standardized template here. You know, for every trade there is a different requirement, there is a different type of a business plan, plus other elements. You know, उद्यम आधार चाहिए, GST चाहिए, ये चाहिए, documentation चाहिए. So how do we come to at least some common minimum standardization that the variation from branch to branch and from bank to bank is reduced? We cannot expect a chai wala or an idli wala or a tailoring shop to come up with those business plans which are similar to probably a 20, 30, 40 lakh rupee loan. So if we can address that part, I think that's going to be a good leap of faith for others to follow.
Thank you, Amitji. Before coming to giving answer to that question, I would like to tell a few things. Just Mr. Anjani Singh just now told the actual issue is not only the finance. Finance is only a part. Unfortunately, the bankers are getting many blamed for not giving the finance. But the issue is the timely finance is one, and the other marketing of the products and business education. All those things are very, very important. And now with this ecosystem, which is already now available, it is very much doable. Actually, we had for financing women entrepreneurs, we had a special scheme in State Bank of India called Stree Shakti package. And the typical mindset of bankers is that you should get the project report given by the people for even a small loan. And bankers are after, and I don't know how many of the bankers also have really seen the work, although rural posting is there. And they are at least that bookish type of mindset is there, because the rule books also say if a loan becomes bad, staff accountability is there. First and foremost thing what bank has done is that if a loan becomes bad, the officer will not be questioned if the loan is up to 20 lakhs. The staff accountability fear has been removed. So they have got this fear has been removed. And most importantly, if you see the last week we have done an analysis, the State Bank of India Economic Advisor has done an analysis and it was published in the paper also. The small PM Swanidhi loan of 10,000 rupees, first tranche, second tranche and third tranche, if you see 68% of the people have repaid the first tranche and they have moved to the next tranche of 20,000. 75% of the people are repaying that promptly. So the people have also understood that financial loans needs to be repaid promptly. And the money has to be utilized promptly. Mr. Manjunath's point also, the consumption is also to be factored, and that also, although they may be utilizing it for consumption, if they do repay the loan in promptly, banks will definitely be willing to finance for the entrepreneurship. That is there. Now coming to this question, whatever the failure we had in this Stree Shakti package, we understood the pain points. We had detailed discussion with NRLM, and they were forthcoming with a lot of issues in whatever was there in the scheme. First and foremost was even for a small loan of 5 lakhs, every bank wants first, as per our procedure, we need a quotation. So quotation means, in the olden days, quotation means the business people will be more interested in, the supplier will be interested in getting selling the goods and getting the money immediately. If he gets a quotation, he will apply to the bank, bank will take its own time in sanctioning the loan, and it will take, delay will be there. And another, some cost also will be involved in many places, in addition to the normal cost. Additional cost also will be there. And most importantly, this project report, which the person who is undertaking the venture may not know what is project report, and he also might not have thought about all the aspects of that project. So somebody will write which is not at all related to the project. So bank officers also, whether they are going through that or whether they are simply taking it as a paper, that also we don't know. So that's why it was not a viable scheme. Many people who were interested only in getting subsidy or bank loan were, rather than the people who are actually interested in doing business. Here we have a successful model of SHG. So now with the coordination with the NRLM, what we have done is an SHG which has graduated for 2 years, successfully run for 2 years. We have asked that SHG to select one person from that SHG who wants to set up a micro entrepreneurship. So up to 5 lakhs without any quotation, no project report, no PAN number, all these have been removed. Now because these people have already KYC verified with the banks, we know their credit history, enough financial education has been given during the 2 years by the group. That is the most important part. And what changes we have done is that as already told, each person may be undertaking different activity. We don't know what is the project. So what we have analyzed is that most around 30 activities is the most common activity which people undertake. So we ourselves have prepared a draft DPR, which is a templated thing. So based on that, it can be immediately, even bank officials can put it in Excel and prepare, and based on discussion, get it signed, so that this pain point is removed. Instead of quotation, now with the arrival of GST, all bills are GST bills are there, so there is no need for taking quotation. We directly pay the money to the supplier and get the GST bill. So end use is also ensured. For 5 lakhs, what is the need for a PAN? So all those things also we have got the waiver from the bank itself. It was a requirement as per the bank. So those waivers also we have got for this particular initiative. So already 3 or 4 VCs we already had. Lot of training is being held for our bank officials also. So we are popularizing that scheme aggressively. We expect a very good turnaround. I am happy that SIDBI has already done, and it has already been successful. So it will definitely be successful when largest bank of the country also comes forward.
So this is very heartening to hear, and I'm sure once you step down, Manjunath ji will ask you when we can start and maybe some other place. But kudos to you. This is a very progressive step and makes life easier for lot on the other side. Koshy, coming back to you, we'll shift our gears. I think we need to give time to audience for questions also. So maybe a couple of minutes for all three of you. I have a common question, but the flavor would change based on your answer. As we heard and we all know, we are talking of a rural base of the pyramid segment who may not be tech savvy, who is certainly not formalized. For that segment, how do we handhold the journey for these women entrepreneurs, or for that matter, any entrepreneur in that segment, to come on board a digital platform network and open up vistas for larger market? So, what kind of a partnership or facilitation ecosystem needs to be developed to make that happen? As I said, a chota kirana wala in a remote village, or for that matter, let's say in Bihar, Madhubani painting. Somebody at home is doing that Madhubani painting. She doesn't know how she could go about the process of selling to somebody else. That first baby step of nurturing, how do we go about that?
So, like I said, when ONDC gives equal opportunity, everybody don't have the equal capability, which means that there's a lot of need for hand-holding them to, be present in this digital world. So when you say hand-holding, it's not just about giving a software, because that's the easiest part. See, if there is like you said, a Madhubani painter from Bihar, or a Kanchipuram weaver from Kanchipuram, or, for them, many things they need to learn. First, they need to create a nice catalog, which is visible and attractive. Second thing, they should have a documentation that is required for logistics. They should be able to generate a barcode that can be gone with the packaging, that the logistics provider will be able to track it across the country, otherwise something gets lost. All these elements will need. So that's why there has to be a lot of hand-holding that has to happen. So we are creating a number of initiatives these are all on the supply side. Let me just take left extreme, SIDBI, where we are going. So we have identified, in fact, the Kanchipuram weavers have been brought on board by SIDBI's initiative as a cluster to demonstrate, take the learning and scale up. And now we are extending it to multiple clusters, and we have identified an idea called digital enablement agencies. And as a pilot, SIDBI is going to fund this support to essentially provide this hand-holding. Okay. Same is in a similar kind of things is being planned with the NABARD from the FPO side, SFAC on the FBO side. And I don't know whether you would have seen the announcement by the Minister for Small and Medium Enterprise. They're going to come out with a launch a scheme which will allow very specified financial assistance of this last mile of digitization and hand-holding for transaction. So, which includes creating catalog and so on and so forth. So we need to get a similar kind of activities. Then the other thing I said, once they are digitally visible, can we even help to have curated interfaces and publicize to the world that these curated interfaces will help them to buy those things. I don't know whether I told. It's like, somebody said something called Amazing India. Because they don't have to go and find out those places. And the last thing, and it again depends upon the kind of product, because talking about everything about commerce. See, if you again, all of us sitting here are very heavy users of e-commerce, whether it is in food or anything. But if you look at, we belong to a category of the society which I call the cream of the society. Even the, the tier 2, 3 cities, people who are participating are the people of the, the India, the people who can afford certain amount of funding. So, so what is needed is to even, so the products are also for them. So we are getting some interesting buying applications that I'll work on rural demand, including going something like our old PCOs, assisted commerce. So these are all this kind of innovations become possible in an open network. In fact, CSC is one of them who might be going live in the near future to provide assisted commerce or the, promote, demand from the rural area. So it is not going, the only point I can make is the open network provide opportunity for this innovation and specialization, which the current models of platforms will not happen. So that is where a variety of people have to come together. In fact, that's one of the key role that ONDC plays as a developmental role by working with people like from development institution like this, major banks like the one on the right side, like for example, SBI is even one of our shareholders and board member. So their philanthropic institution, like we are working with the BNGF in, specifically focusing on initiative for the women entrepreneurs. So that is why we have to, we are in that way working on a common theme and building bridges among all of them to get the compounding effect.
Options or for marketing. So especially FPO, part of 10,000 FPO scheme that NABARD is supporting or beyond, even the SHG network. So very quickly, where do you see NABARD's role in this going forward, and likewise for SIDBI also? We're running out of time, so we'll have to be a little quick.
Sure. Amit, I'll be very happy to share that NABARD, we have come out with a new scheme where we are providing grant, to our channel partners in conjunction with key sector players for supporting SAGs, the JLGs, the POs, or any micro entrepreneur for onboarding onto the online platforms, the social media platforms, and all the other new forms of selling. In fact, thanks to Mr. Koshy and ONDC. ONDC happened. So, that kind of accelerated. We were, in the thought process for quite some time, and we have launched. We, in fact, started off with a pilot. We had a pilot in, I think, about 4 to 5 states. It went off exceedingly well, and it really brought out the very strong need for having an online platform for sale of SAG products. And I think we have onboarded about 112 or 113 SAGs and about 226 JLGs onto 123 seller pages on ONDC. So our support is for two kinds of, the requirements as assessed by us. I think Mr. Koshy may like to help us out if he feels that some more support is required. First is the actual capacity building, for training and to understand the nuances of online marketing. What are the compliances? How to do digital payments, and so many things are there which even we may not be aware. So the training is for that. And then the second part of the scheme is for the actual onboarding and hand-holding support for a period of 6 months. 6 months, I hope, some stability can come in. So that is the kind of support that we have come up. And so we have hitched our wagon to the ONDC star, and we are hoping for good tidings.
Okay. Acharya, I'll have to twist the question. It sounds very easy and everything hunky-dory. So let me try and make it a little difficult for you if you allow. We seem to be having elements in place. You mentioned about Swavlamban Connect Kendras. There is this ONDC support facilitation. There is also Udyam Assist in the works, and Prayas we've spoken about. How do we convert this into a combination, the full-fledged package of practice, which is plug and play and available to the sectoral players? It could be lenders where this could come as addendum. It could be other players. This seems to be somewhat dispersed and not a package which is bundled. Do you think this is possible and can be worked out? Of course, these are early days and we are all trying our bits. But if it can be converted into one package which is plug and play, that will be very helpful. Doable, feasible?
Simple answer, yes. But it is still work in process. We have just started. See, the basic problem, and in fact, your previous question had the answer in it also. You spoke about the informal nature of the enterprises, and when the informal enterprises start seeking facilities from the formal financial system, there is a disconnect. So there is a need for formalization, which we have started in right earnest, and as we are speaking, just in less than 6 months, we have onboarded more than 1 crore informal enterprises into the Udyam Assist platform. So that is the scale with which we are dreaming and planning things. Yesterday, you are aware we entered into some agreement with the Ministry of Rural Development, and one of the major projects that they are taking, in fact NABARD also in the past have tried, is about the digitization of SHGs, which has not happened so far. Despite so much of efforts by all stakeholders, the digitization of SHGs has still not happened. So when you are talking about this package, you have to also understand the enormity of the issue in hand. But at the, having said that, I will also tell the kind of digital infrastructure that India has built, India Stack. In fact, many things are happening based on that. And even in SIDBI also, we have a kind of a digital infrastructure that we have created. We are calling it Udyami Mitra, you know that. The PM Vishwakarma scheme that was recently launched, which is again still happening, work in process. In fact, scheme has been launched, people are putting in their applications, where you see the enormity of the task. 265,000 GPs, Gram Panchayats are linked to that platform, our platform that we have developed for this. Then of course the bank branches are linked to this, the district magistrates offices are linked to this, the DFO offices of MSMEs are linked to this, SLBCs are linked to this, and a completely seamless kind of transaction is happening on PM Vishwakarma platform. And then it is also linked to NSDC for skill training, it is linked to NPCI for issue of the digital currency, and then of course it is also linked to the vendors where the digital currency can be shown, and they can take their the toolkit. So this is what is happening. But coming back to your question of this ONDC thing that we have started, and the problem is when you talk about ONDC, it is easier said than done. Why? Because a small enterprise, you see the nuances of digital marketing. You have to handle so many things. You have to process the order, you have to talk to the logistics guy, you have to handle the customer grievances, you have to handle the product returns, you have to handle the payments. It's easier said than done. One small, say for example, artisan, a micro enterprise, it is very difficult to handle all these tasks. So aggregation is the answer that I was telling you. It is aggregation that is going to help us, and that is what we have started. We are trying to, in fact, today, yesterday we were discussing, we need a new cadre of entrepreneurs who will be actually supporting maybe 100, 200, 300 of such micro entrepreneurs, artisans, handicraft people, and they can actually connect them, help them, and handhold them for digital marketing. So that is the way forward.
Right. I agree, though there is no silver bullet here, but just like you're trying, I see Prakashji here, and there is an ongoing effort to see if this can be plugged in with community institutions as facilitator. Same facilitation work could also, on the marketing and other aspects, could also go to these kind of institutions. But same, coming to you, Manjunathji, quickly in 1 minute. All that these speakers have spoken about, you as an institution have been playing an enabling role. Your institution or the likes of your institution, do you see yourself working in this space also for all of these facilitation?
Yes, indeed, indeed. Thank you for giving me 1 minute. I just want to do two questions that were raised here. One was a question raised on migration of members from SHG to individuals when they are migrating from livelihoods to micro enterprises. Should they continue in SHG? I'm very clear in my thoughts. SHG is like a credit card. SHG relationship will have to continue all the while. Now, they may be having their own enterprises, but they want quick money. That is the SHG that gives them. So, in my experience, my people have never left the SHGs. SHG's father member has given way to his son. Sometimes the daughter-in-laws have taken over from mother-in-laws. So, SHG is a very important tool for their daily requirements and even giving working capital for their enterprises. So, I think that the government should realize that they should not break this SHG movement for creation of enterprises. This is one thing.
Anjani, you got your answer.
And I also request that the RBI is coming out with a circular that one member per, only one SHG per member, and he should not be taking loan from some other source. This is a very kind of regressive kind of a decision. I think this must be allowed to, because like for example, you may be having 3-4 credit cards in with you. I mean, depending on your requirement, you are using it. So that opportunity must be given to the poor people. This is the first thing. Secondly, sir, when I talk about SHGs, a very important factor is about the savings component. Savings component is building the capital of the individual, which is lacking in the NBFC sector. So if you promote SHG sector, you're actually building the financial capital, the economic capital of the individual is also built. So I think these two important things, and we are playing a very enabling role. Sir, I am telling, Acharya sir was talking about digitization of SHGs. Our SHGs are completely digitized. 24/7, you have a data availability. So, I mean, we are playing the, if given to the extent of opportunities given to us, we are playing a very enabling role, and we will continue to do that.
So I think now you can also connect to the credit bureaus. RBI has made an enabling provision under the SICRA Act, where non-financial institutions can also be entity which can do this. Anjani, coming to you quickly, last question, 1 minute before we open to the audience. We've been talking about digitization and digital commerce and what not. The more we digitize, especially for the segment that we are talking of, we seem to be, not be solving one problem and also probably adding some more. There is an element of customer protection, grievance redressal, and exclusion. How real is this for the segment that we're talking of, and how do we address this?
I think the good thing about India, and again, by no means I'm a digital expert, but just because you have asked that question, I think the Indian model of digitization, it's also there is something called democratization of the digitization process and all. So the way UPI has democratized the whole payment system, and I'm hoping again, putting the Koshy ji on the spot, he would democratize the whole e-commerce space as well. So I think, the Indian model of digitization in that way is a very inclusive in my mind, which not only serves to the need of the better off and, upper class and all, but also it serves to the need of the poor and the marginalized. So that way I'm very hopeful that if we continue to work in this direction, I think we'll have a less exclusion and we'll have a, a better digital ecosystem. The challenge of, the data, privacy and secrecy and all those things is, a challenge, and I'm sure, the government is already working on it. I think there is a bill, I don't know whether it's pending or it's passed, but there is already the government initiatives around, ensuring these, data privacy and secrecy.
Thank you. On that positive note, I'd like to check if we have time for Q&A. Okay. So maybe a couple of questions. Please identify yourself and let us know whom do you want the question to be answered by.
Thank you for giving chance. This is Shobhra Wali Khan, Deputy Executive Director of TMSS. TMSS is one of the largest MFI and second largest NGOs in Bangladesh. We also know a lot of entrepreneurs is in rural area. I would like to request to know that what are the Indian government intervention or initiative for boost up in rural micro entrepreneurs, especially marketing their product? Thank you very much.
See, there are a variety of initiatives that the government of India is doing. If you look at the establishment of Open Network for Digital Commerce, which is itself is a mechanism to enable wider participation by small and micro enterprises there. Having created such a framework and an institution to make that framework a reality, they are also now through different intervention from DFIs on one side to state, small and medium enterprises to other, they are essentially initiating a lot of action that will help these enterprises to sell across. Probably you would have heard this PM Vishwakarma scheme, which is on the last line, which PM has announced recently, which is for the artisans to have the appropriate tools to make their product in a better fashion and so make it, and they're also creating a number of innovative mechanisms to make their product available across the country, both in the physical world and in the digital world. So there are, many of them we have already shared, and many of those details are already in the public domain, and we'll be happy to sort of share those things.
Just to add, I think, the government also procures large amount of goods and services, and there is a GEM portal, which basically, ensures that, okay, the small and marginal, SMEs and the SHG members also, get an equal chance to sell their products over the GEM platform. I think there is also norm that around 25% of the total, procurement of the government should happen from the MSMEs and also. So that's another very favorable support system. By virtue of working with the SHG ecosystem, I know that there are several SRLM has been also working to come up with, their own portals to help, their products to, to be sold on the e-commerce space. But also they organize, by the way, a physical Mela, I think Saras Mela, well known, where, every state organize, if I'm not mistaken, once and twice in each states, and also at the several time at the national level, to ensure that their products also get the, access to market.
Any other question?
Hi, this is Sohal Bhardosh from SubK. So my question is basically to Koshy sir. So we spoke about that women entrepreneurs, we spoke about nano entrepreneurs, we spoke about micro enterprises. But still in ONDC network, though we want that they should be able to sell their produce, because ONDC becomes an enabler, and microfinance is going to provide loans to the women entrepreneurs, but ONDC would provide a platform to sell their produce or sell their products online. But still, what we are facing right now, we don't have, we still have this GST requirement for the seller onboarding. How soon we are going to remove it? And the next question I would like to, the next question would be around, we are also looking around that there is a lending, personal lending which has been introduced on ONDC network. Now we are also looking towards how soon we are going to bring this lending services on ONDC for microfinance segment as well. So I do have two questions. And the third aspect would be around, because currently we are looking around the accountabilities and the ownership part as well. Who will be solely responsible for the data, regulations, and who will be more responsible and accountable for the whatever happened on the ONDC front. Yeah.
Third part, I think we'll park for now and keep for next year. There is a lot of distance to be covered before we come there. The other first one, especially on the GST, you could probably respond.
The first one, if you see, there's a rule which says in our country that everybody who is selling online has to be GST compliant. government has come out with one exemption recently, which is applicable from this October onwards, that if the person is selling within the same state, that compliance is not needed. That means he can be a non-GST registered entity. He can, you know, you only need to have an enrollment number. But whether that will be available for interstate, the answer is not yet ready. And these are the transfers. See, any time when we have a new transformational idea, we need to have there need to be, you know, regulatory systems to evolve. Okay, so I'm aware that, you know, because it's not in my, I'm not in GST Council, nor am I in the Ministry of Revenue, Department of Revenue, but I know that they are all looking at the possibility of this being an enabler without compromising or without somebody misusing that. But in the meantime, there have been different organizations has found, even government organizations have found mechanism to address this challenge, to help the small enterprises to find a via media to you know, make their products across the state without they themselves going for the registration, but they're coming as a collective, and the collective doing that. So it is at the end of it, when it comes to a collective, they have a certain size, and if these enterprises can make these products a part of the collective, and the collective become the, you know, the compliant to GST, then it becomes easy even for them to manage because it's slightly larger, and the individual enterprises can sort of contribute necessary thing. So at the end of it, it's a problem, but there is a way, there is a short-term solution that is there, and there is a, you know, the long-term, some regulatory change may happen. The second question was on?
Your second question, maybe you can touch base bilaterally. We're running out of time. But I think we can also take you from the fact when the largest banker has done away with the requirement of a PAN for a 5 lakh rupee loan, this flexibility is there in the system to respond as required, and I think we are all learning, and you know, the responses are also coming. There is one aspect that we could not touch, and I would just like to park here as food for thought for all stakeholders. When it comes to micro enterprise lending, you know, for loans 2 lakh, 3 lakh or so, I don't think it is possible to replicate the microfinance model in terms of interest rate. That's an area we need to do a lot more. We'll need to figure out blended finance solutions and things like that. Perhaps co-lending could also help. And that is where ecosystem players need to come together and figure out how we could bring down those interest rates when it comes to business loans. Business loans at 25%, I'm not too sure. There may be cases where it may be possible, but there would be large segment where this may not be viable. So that's an aspect we could not discuss today, but maybe food for thought for another day. Thank you so much, everyone, fellow panelists. It was great. And thank you, audience, for your patience.
Thank you so much, moderator of the session, for wonderfully conducting and concluding the session. We also thank our esteemed panelists for a wonderful session. Ladies and gentlemen, I now invite founding member Sa-Dhan, Ms. Harvinder Bedi, and also the Regional Director, South Asia Water.org, Mr. Manoj Gulati, to kindly join us onto the stage and present mementos to our esteemed panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we thank our panelists for a wonderful session. We have been joined by Ms. Harvinder Bedi. Ma'am, may I request you to kindly present a memento to the moderator of the session, Mr. Amit Arora. We present a stool and a plaque. I request Mr. Manoj Gulati to kindly present a memento to Mr. T Koshy. May we request Mr. Manoj Gulati to present a memento to Mr. T Koshy. Please put your hands together as we thank them. Thank you. Once again requesting Harvinder ma'am to kindly present a memento to Ms. Leivang. Requesting Ms. Bedi to kindly present a memento to Ms. Leivang. A huge round of applause for Ms. Leivang. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, ma'am. May I request Mr. Manoj Gulati to present a memento to Mr. Sanjay V.S. presenting a memento to Mr. Sanjay. So Ms. Bedi and Mr. Gulati are together presenting mementos to our esteemed panelists. We would like to present a memento to Dr. S. Acharya. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable inputs and your time. Thank you once again. We would now like to present a memento to Dr. L.H. Manjunath. Thank you so much, sir. We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Anjani Singh for his valuable input. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We are going to present a plaque and a stool. We are presenting a plaque and a stool to Mr. Anjani Singh. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable contribution. Thank you so much, esteemed panelists. Thank you so much, Ms. Harvinder Bedi, and also thanking Mr. Manoj Gulati. May I request all our members on the stage to kindly stay back for a group photograph. We are capturing this moment in our cameras. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, a huge round of applause for all our esteemed panelists and also for all of you for interacting so well. And I'm sure we have more questions, more conversations to make. We can definitely do that offline. Thank you so much for being with us.